Okay, 8 years ago today, my sister was left at the altar on her wedding. I was about 13, her maid of honor. He just said no and walked out when asked if he would take her to be his wife. It was horrible after. He joined the army and got married like 6 months later, and my sister moved back in with us. She stayed in my room and would cry herself to sleep every night for months. Yikes. I can't really blame him. My sister is terrible with money and had piles of debt. It just keeps getting worse. Oh my God. It's been 10 years and she's now married to a guy we all really love, but we think she made herself get pregnant recently. He doesn't want kids. And now their marriage, not even after a year, is struggling super badly. Oh my God. This girl has to have like the worst luck in the world. Like as I'm reading this, I'm just like, this is kind of tragic. Like first of all, she got left at her wedding and her sister, who was 13 at the time, was talking about how her sister's terrible with money and she's lots of debt, so clearly she's not the best example for her sister. He just said no and walked out. If she, like at that point, my life would be over. Like I feel like there's no bouncing back or coming back from that, like period. But the fact that this guy then joined the army and got married 6 months later, it wasn't even a year after they finished, they called off their wedding. Like that's crazy.
Married a bridezilla. In the 18 months we were married, she was such an unfit mother, too many instances to list here, that when the divorce was finalized, I got custody of our kid and the kid she had prior to our marriage. Yeah, that really says a lot. That really says a lot. And also, shout out to you for just, you know, being a good dad or mom. I'm like, I don't really know, to be honest with ya. 18, and they were only married for 18 months too, which like is longer than some marriages, but really not long in the world of marriage. I'll tell you that for sure. Message details. Everything's blanked out. Subject: wedding question. Message: hello, my fiance and I are looking for a wedding photographer, but are having some issues with the contracts we are coming across. We are wanting a clause that guarantees us a refund should we ever get divorced, since we would not need the photos in that situation. This is absolutely insane. Also, having prenuptial agreements and that sort of thing, you know, for certain scenarios. I don't really understand planning to get a divorce. That just seems to not make any sense. That's insane. I don't think that they found a photographer willing. Also, imagine like so many years down the line and you got to give them a refund. 30 years in, they get a divorce and you got to give them a refund. That would be insane.
Deleted 6 years ago said, a guy I knew did this. He was a nice, laid-back guy marrying a toxic person. I can't get into the details because I didn't know him too well, but apparently his friends had been telling him to break it off from the beginning. That's always a red flag, but okay. They had a final intervention for him the morning of the wedding and they finally convinced him to just leave. He showed up at this festival I was at during what was supposed to be his wedding. I saw him and said, hey man, aren't you getting married today? And he had this kind of faraway look and said, yeah, that's not happening anymore. LOL. Wait, hold on. Can you just imagine like you're friends with somebody and they're meant to be getting married and you just see them pop up at a festival one day and you're just like, yo, like, aren't you supposed to be at like your wedding? And it's like, not happening anymore. Like what, how do you respond to that? What conversation goes on from there? Cause that's wild to me. I don't know. I'm really thinking about, oh, whoops. I'm really thinking about it and I'm like, damn, like that's kind of wild. It's like, oh yeah, that's not happening anymore.
Bard lover. I just want to say that out loud. Not a bridemaid, but a witness to one. Okay. The bride got walked out on by her entire bridal party except her maid of honor. Of course, it was because no one loved her and everyone wanted to ruin her day, of course. Not because she ripped a bridesmaid's dress from the neck down in an open area because it was too white. It was the dress the bride insisted on all the maids wearing. Of course, of course it is. That's always how it goes. I love when I just don't get it, maybe because I have never been married, but like, I just don't get why the bride even chooses the bridesmaids' dresses. Why can't they just choose their own dress? They can all pick together if they want, or they can just be like, this is the color, make it this color, that's it. I just never got that, but maybe I'm just not traditional enough. Okay, good morning, blank. My name is blank. I'm the wedding coordinator for blank and blank. We've got some other stuff blanked out. Rules and regulations. Do not talk to the bride at all. Everyone will toast with Remy. No acceptance. Lastly, must come with gift $75 or more, or you won't be admitted in. If you're gonna have that many rules for the wedding and like insane rules, you might want to at least send the email with no spelling mistakes. It's just a thought, you know? Not trying to be rude, but geez Louise, people are crazy. Like, I get it, some rules like are a little out there, but they like make sense and stuff. This is just pure entitlement. I love do not talk to the bride at all is really funny though. That would be what I want for my wedding.
Okay, Scrappy_LaRue 6 years ago said, not at the altar, but I bailed just 2 days before we were headed to City Hall. Big yikes. It was a green... It's always the green card marriage, y'all. it's always the green card marriages, bro. It was a green card marriage. On our second date, she mentioned that her visa was expiring in 6 months, and I jokingly proposed to her. Dude, this is where you messed up. We continued dating, we're falling for each other, and that proposal became much more real as the deadline approached. Oh my god, that's kind of cute. It's giving like enemies to friends to lovers love trope. Yo, guys, I love reading, and this is giving me like a fiction book right now. Like, I'm like, that line right there would be a killer trope. Like, you could base a whole book off of that part alone. Anyways, I'm straying way off. So we continued dating, we're falling for each other, and the proposal became much more real as the deadline approached. I backed out at the last minute because we just didn't agree on a few details. Can you imagine you're starting to actually fall for someone who you jokingly proposed to, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, no, I don't want to do this anymore. Living arrangements and finances were easy. What couldn't be negotiated was how seriously either of us wanted to take these vows. I wanted to at least attempt to be a married, monogamous couple. She didn't really want to commit to that. Whoa. If she falls deeper in love, great. If not, we're just roommates. I miss her, but I think I dodged a bullet. I believe she would have vanished on me at some point, and I could be in a real jam over immigration crime. Yikes. That is messy. Wait, hold on. There's so much to break down. Like, there's so much happening in this one story. Living arrangements, finances, whatever. Oh no, he said that was the easy part. What they were negotiating was how serious either of them wanted to take their vows. If you had to be questioning that, you shouldn't be getting married, period. But I mean, I wanted to at least attempt to be married, monogamous couple. That's crazy. Leaving at the altar 2 days prior is crazy. Talking about immigration crime, that's crazy. I'm like, really, I cannot.
Bride was blonde. All bridesmaids except for me were brunette. She asked me to dye my hair brown for the wedding because she wanted to be the only blonde. I suggested that instead I just give up my bridesmaid spot. Thankful to this day since I heard the dresses and bachelorette party cost the other girls more money than I make in a month. Yeah, I can imagine. Weddings are so expensive and people just expect their friends to like spend a pretty penny on some stuff that they don't really want to do or wear. That's a thing too with like letting them choose their own dresses. Then they can choose a dress that maybe they actually would wear again. And then you don't feel so bad that they're spending money. I would still feel bad, but still. I will not grow sensitive and angry with the bride because I understand that she has a bossy attitude. I'm assuming this is rule 21 on a list of rules. That's my guess, first of all, which is like its own thing, but I will just understand that if she's being rude, it's just because she's a bossy attitude and I'm just supposed to deal with that.
Okay, Xavier Grayson, 6 years ago, I left my ex-fiance a month before the wedding. Backstory, I never actually proposed to her. She more or less did it to me. We were in a mall and she wanted to go to a jewelry store to look at engagement rings. I wasn't expecting to walk out of there with one, but we did. This salesperson even took a just engaged Polaroid. LOL. She became more and more controlling and I couldn't take it anymore. After I left her, her friend texted me on the day of the supposed ceremony telling me the cake was delicious. My ex somehow managed to break into the email and asked me who a girl was in an email I received after I left her. I can understand her reasoning if it was before, but it wasn't. She also texted me a while after I left and told me she missed her period. An hour later, I got another text that said, never mind. Wowzers. I thought the last story was crazy. This one's insane. First of all, She proposed to him. They walked out of the engagement ring store with a whole ring. She became more and more controlling, couldn't take it anymore after I left her. Okay, so she clearly, I'm assuming she got married to another person. That's how I'm perceiving the story. The whole part about her missing her period and then telling her never mind, that is really giving me she was with another person on the side. I feel like this whole thing is meant to be like a cheating thing. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just too tired to be perceiving this correctly, but that is messy either way. Situation is terrible. Oh my God.
However, it starts with however, so something must have gone on here before. However, after the ceremony was over and the party had only just started, one of the bridesmaids decided to announce her own engagement. Okay. The attention was immediately taken away from the newlyweds and brought to the bridesmaids, who I'll call Sarah, and her equally smug fiance. My cousin's wife, I'll call her Emma, didn't make a scene or utter a single negative word about Sarah. She looked like she was on the verge of tears, but she kept grinning and acted very happy for the other couple. Sarah later picked Emma to be the maid of honor at her own wedding, which took place last weekend. This is where the fun begins. Ooh, I'm excited. Emma announced in front of everyone that she was 5 months pregnant and that she just discovered the baby was a boy, hence the blue petals. The last slide, her ultrasound picture. There were shocked yells and gasps. Sarah had a fit, but those involved in the scheme cheered so loudly. Apparently, Sarah had been very nasty to her bridesmaids before, driving several of them away and forcing the others to pay ridiculous amounts of money for dresses. Classic. Yeah, it's just like, unless you're like really close with the like bride and groom and you've like triple checked with them first, it's so like rude. Like these people spend all of this money on an event and you're gonna be like, and we got engaged. Like it's not your engagement party, you know, like Instagram is for that. If you wanna announce your engagement so badly. Like it's just not the place unless you've like explicitly talked about it and like you're for sure on the same page. I don't know, it's kind of petty and it's really the long game, which I appreciate. Definitely some sort of a texting conversation. This is your second wedding. You planned something. I took off work and got chewed out. I bought a dress I didn't need and even planned to cook for it as a favor and you canceled it last second. All right, we're done here. That's somebody who is upset that they got called out and can't really deny any of the things. I love you and want to do this with you and for you, but let me get my blank homework done. No, I'm done talking. Go get your homework done. Lady, don't act like you're trying to tell me what to do. Then whatever, dude, you're gonna blow this marriage too. I hope so. I hope so, like that's so dumb. If anybody has more context to like what this is, I really need to know because this is just insane. This is your second wedding? Like what, second wedding, like did you get divorced before? Or is this your second wedding to the same person? This one's the definition of just entitlement. This is just an entitled person.
Catherine Gannon, I hope I said that right. It might be Gannon. Cake-tastrophy. I ditched my bridezilla fiance at the altar after finding out she'd secretly forced my mates to pay for a $7,000 cake, I believe that is. I'm assuming that's a $7,000 cake, and if that's the case, that's insane. One ex-fiance has told how he walked out on his bride-to-be at their wedding after he found out she coerced her friends into paying for their $7,000 cake. The former groom said that his fiancée started to show her true colors as the big day got closer and she got more and more demanding. He dodged a bullet in a good way, because like if she's already this demanding and whatnot, then like who knows how she'll be 10 years down the road when you've been married for 10 years and you're kind of stuck in this marriage or whatever. I don't know, that's kind of, can we just talk about the $7,000 wedding cake though? Like, I think the most I've ever had a family member pay for a cake, or I've ever seen a family member pay for cake, is like maybe $500, $600. $7,000, definitely nothing over $1,000. Like, I'm really thinking about it now. I just want to know what that wedding cake looked like, and it had to have tasted like the best wedding cake in the world, because there's no other way I'd be paying $7,000 for a cake unless it wasn't the prettiest, biggest, and most delicious wedding cake in the world. Like, absolutely not.
I'm a photographer and was working with a super sweet couple. Everything was normal up until when the drinks started flowing. My partner and I were setting stuff up for the reception, and the groom comes up to us and asks the DJ if he can play a video for his wife. We assume it's some cute slideshow or something. Toasts happen, then the video starts to play. Turns out the bride was sleeping with the best man, and the video was from a private investor. investigator. The whole room went silent, bride runs out, best man goes to follow her, groom's father punches best man out. Everyone else ended up staying and having a great party, super nice people. I ended up shooting the groom's second wedding. Holy shit. That would be like, you would carry that story with you forever. People would be like, what's the craziest wedding story you have? Boom, right there. No worries, you got that one locked and loaded. A video too, at the wedding. Oh, it really doesn't get better than that. That's like what I expect to see on TV, and
God, that is good TV.
She's just living my dream. Anyway, to secure your spot in our wedding party, the following things will be required. Before I even read more of this, securing your spot just seems like it's already like entitled language, you know what I mean? I do understand, like, yeah, for sure, you gotta like commit to the role. I agree with that. But there's just something about the language of you have to do these things to secure your spot. Like it's some sort of like VIP thing, and they should be like lucky for being in your wedding party, you know? You will sign a contract that holds you legally responsible for meeting all of our requirements and says that if you don't, you will be legally held to reimbursing us for the time we've wasted and the stress of causing problems. Lady, I don't think I'm gonna be in your wedding party if there's like a threat of being sued. Because what if you just have a bad time and then you feel like suing? Also, I'm not signing a legal contract to be in your wedding party, you weirdo. That's so weird. That's weird behavior.
My brother left his fiance a week before the wedding. Basically, as soon as he proposed, all she cared about was the wedding. I know a lot of girls who are like that. Like, they get really caught up in the whole, like, wedding and the ceremony and how it's gonna go and how perfect it has to look to everybody who's attending. And I know a lot of people who get all up in their head talking about my wedding has to be the most perfect wedding ever. It has to be better than everybody else's wedding, da-da-da-da-da. And I just think that's crazy. Like, I feel like you should be excited to just be celebrating your love and your life with the person that you love and having the people who you love and care about there with you. But again, that might just be me. He wanted a very small wedding and she wanted a huge one. See, I had a feeling. She was also very religious. Her father is a preacher and he was not at all. She told him she wanted to become a deacon in her father's church and he told her no, he didn't want to do that. Pretty much they were disagreeing on everything up to that point. Finally, he called it off. He said it was the hardest thing he's ever had to do, but he knew he made the right decision. I kind of agree with this one. I feel like if he was going down a path of like, he was questioning the relationship and he felt like he wasn't sure if they were going to work out in the future because they were disagreeing on so much, I feel like he did make the right decision. Even though sometimes you have to make hard decisions, I feel like a lot of the times those are good decisions to make because he's probably in a healthy or happy relationship, or even if he's not, because relationships don't necessarily have to deem your worth, at least he learned from this experience and he can apply that to any relationship that he gets into next, whether that's with a friendship or a romantic relationship or anything. So I don't know, I feel like hats off to this guy. Well, hats off to Biscuitful's brother because it's not actually him, but yeah.
This is when we started to clash. She would request entire weekends off to get bridesmaid dress bridesmaid dress shopping together. When I did make it, she looked at dresses in the 500 plus range. Next, she talked about having an out-of-state bachelorette party. On top of that, she still expected wedding gifts from her bridesmaids. I expressed my concerns regarding the commitment and money expectations, but she said other girls could do it. I'd be like, that's great. I'm talking about me, so I don't know what you want me to do. She couldn't understand my budgeting. She would call me to express her disappointment and pretty much start complaining about me. I was in shock and I didn't know what to say. Her final saying, let's see this next bridesmaid dress shopping goes and I'll let you know if I still want you in the party. I texted her saying that I don't need to be judged or evaluated and to have a good life. I was done with these ridiculously high expectations for her wedding. Yeah, honestly, I feel like I wouldn't have even gone that far. Like if somebody's calling me to express their disappointment in me and like just complain, I would be like, okay, I don't need this. If you're so disappointed and want to complain, like go complain to somebody else. Don't call me. I'm busy, man. Also, I'm an adult. Like why? My friends don't need to be disappointed in me. You know? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong for feeling that, but like if I did something wrong and they want to confront me, for sure. But if they're disappointed because I'm not going to spend like $2,000 on their wedding, sorry, I'm busy. I have a job. If you do not get an invite, here is a list of potential reasons why. How sweet. Thank you so much for creating a list for us, for compiling all the reasons. 1, if I have invited you every time we have a group function and you never show up. Fair enough. 2, if you are just a work acquaintance and I've never hung out with you outside of work. Also fair enough. 3, if I show up to things you invite me to and you never show up to our invites or even respond. I mean, it's like kind of the same as number 1, but I guess this is just crazy. I feel like this is like the thing you would send if you were in like elementary school, you know? I feel like you don't have to give like a reason why you didn't invite every single person that you work with to your wedding. Like, girl, we just aren't friends. That's it. Doesn't mean we can't be great coworkers, but like sometimes you're just not friends with the people you work with. That's not weird.
10 years ago, Zako said an old friend of mine called off his wedding because he found out she effed some dude at her bachelorette party the weekend before. Hold on. He waited until the day of the wedding to call it off because he wanted her to have to explain it to her family, most of whom flew into town for the wedding. You guys, that is wild. Oh my God. I'm really sitting here like, whoa, like an old friend of mine called off his wedding because he found out she effed some dude at her bachelor party the weekend before. Girl, I am all for having a good time, but that is doing too much. You are getting married. It's not no more, let's have one last final night. No. You are a taken woman. You cannot do that. And then the fact that he had the patience and he was so petty, which like kind of deserved, but still, he had the patience and was so petty to wait until the wedding to call it off so she could tell her family who flew in to see this wedding why he wasn't getting married to her because she cheated on him. That is crazy. Yo, people are wild. That is it. Oh my God, and that's the last one too.
Alone, her attitude was bearable. She is a bride after all, except she criticizes every single product I use and everything I put on her face requires a 7-minute mirror inspection complete with criticism. Except when I offer to do it differently, she just huffs and says, I don't have time to fix every little mistake, just hurry up. My trump card, it's an outdoor wedding and it's a super sunny, humid day. Normally I'd waterproof her makeup and apply it carefully so it won't melt. Today, I slapped it on and made sure to use stuff that I know runs very easily. Her photos will need more editing and it will barely hold for 2 hours in that weather. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care if she reviews me badly. I do this for fun and as a favor to friends. It's not my bread and butter. I hope she looked half as melted as I planned her to look. That's savage. That's savage, but honestly. Also, like, why hire a makeup artist if you're not gonna, you know? Like, that's just, I don't know. There's part of me that feels like I would want to do my own makeup if I was getting married, because like when somebody else does your makeup, you just look different. You just look different, and sometimes that's better and sometimes it doesn't feel better because you're used to looking at yourself one way. Hey, I'm having a wedding emergency. My photographer canceled on me and I need a photographer bad. Your friend does weddings, right? She can help me? Hello? So this was 2 minutes apart, it looks like. It looks like this one right here. I know you can't, it's kind of cut off. That looks like it's at 2:43 p.m. And then at 2:45, they said, hello. Sorry, I just tried to call you. Give me a call when you have a minute to talk, but yes, blank does weddings. It's sweet that you think someone who is planning a wedding would have time for a phone call. Just text me, the wedding is the 28th, Winter Wonderland theme. Lol, I get that you're stressed out, blank, but you don't need to be condescending. I'm trying to help. Literally. And I'm glad that they called it out as they saw it. Listen, I do think that if you want a favor that you have time for a phone call, if that's my preferred method of communication, do you want the favor or not? Because there's one way, Karen. I didn't marry the bridezilla, but I had coordinated her wedding. We had a death in the family, 6-month-old baby. That's fucking terrible. Holy shit, okay. A few days prior to the wedding, I called the bride and told her the situation and said that my assistant would be stepping in for me so that I could attend to the funeral. She told me to send my assistant to the funeral and that I had better be at her wedding. Okay. Listen here, is what I would have said. I told her I would be sending her a refund and that no one would be coming to her wedding. The groom ended up leaving her after this whole thing went down. Suffice to say, he really dodged a bullet there. Yeah, I can't even imagine. Imagine being so heartless. Like, it could have been like somebody who's like lived to 109 and you can still go to their funeral before you go to somebody you don't even know's wedding. Like, whatever. And they're also like covering their bases. They're still calling you. They're still doing the thing. Like, you're lucky that their assistant didn't call you to tell you that already. Ew, what a terrible person. I need you to make a custom centerpiece for each of the 20 tables. Heart emoji. If each one could be a separate Disney villain, I would die. Oh, and could you also do a cake topper? Question mark. OMG, I'm flattered. But wait, the wedding is next week. That's not enough time for me. Yeah, it's next week, but we figured they can't be that long to make, right? I'm assuming not, since she just said that that's not enough time. I would maybe see like how much time that is, like how much she could make in that time, and then go from there. Maybe figure something out. People are weird. It's like always weird when people want things on like a time limit that you just like, you literally said you can't do. You're like, no, that won't work. And they're like, but I really want it. I'm like, okay. I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that. Me too. That would be great. My business would be thriving if I could do that much in that short amount of time. Don't you think? How many more orders could I get completed if I could just cut my timeline right in half? You know? People are weird. They just want miracles to happen for them. Photographer awarded $1 million after Bridezilla refuses a $125 fee. Yep, that's so nice. I love that. I love that. Karma. Karma. Oops, sorry. $125 too. Like, that's really not a lot in terms of photography. I'm sure this was just like one of those fees, like maybe like an editing fee or something like that. But like $125 to a photographer for a wedding is not a lot of money. So, maid of honor fired. By the way, I'm having so much fun like putting my spin on like the attitude that I think that these people had. I've been messaging our group chat for helping with planning some stuff and the wedding shower, etc., etc., and they will read it and never reply, which is super frustrating. That's it? I feel like I need more from that one. I mean, yeah, if you're not replying, like, maybe you're too busy for the maid of honor duties, which is fair, because like, that's a lot of stuff. Maid of honor is expected to do a lot of stuff sometimes. What's the time limit we're giving her to reply? You know, maybe she's at work. I need to know more about this one. Disgruntled bride ordered to pay $115,000 after defamatory posts ruin Chinese wedding photo business. A Richmond, BC woman who saw her Chinese wedding photography business crumble under the viral reach of a disgruntled bride's poison pen says she hopes her personal nightmare can serve as a lesson for others. A BC Supreme Court judge has ordered the angry bride to pay $115,000 in damages for defaming Kitty Chan's now ruined business. Oh, dang. Oh, dang. Okay, so this lady, this Bridezilla, complained, and then now she has to pay $115,000 because of it. That's some Amber Heard, Johnny Depp shit. You can't just say whatever you want, okay? There's rules against that. You can't just go out there and say whatever you want. There are consequences. Warning, rant ahead. Stop sign emoji. I'm getting married next Saturday the 16th. All of my bridesmaids are gorgeous, and honestly, I can't imagine having better looking friends. My issue is, it's my fiance's best man. He's only 5'3", so he will look ridiculous escorting my sister down the aisle. He is homely as well. Like what? A unibrow and crooked teeth. One of those really big smiles that shows off his teeth, God forbid, and 10 feet of gum off too. Oh my God, that's not a rant, that's a goddamn roast. Jeez, like, chill. Oh my God, that's crazy. And you put that on the internet, of all things. First of all, why does it matter? They don't have to look like a couple going down the aisle, like it's just whatever. Second of all, why do your opinions on his appearance matter at all? You know what I mean? It's just so irrelevant. Shouldn't you be focused on like being married? Instead of like, oh, I don't find my husband's best friend attractive. You weirdo? That's weird.